Welcome to another edition of the Let's Talk Show, showcasing Guyanese from all over. I'm your host, Andrew James, and today I'm pleased to have with us in studio Mr. Ryan Jacob.
Hey, Andrew. Good afternoon. Hey, everyone. This is Ryan Jacob here. Andrew, I'm glad to be on this wonderful program. You always do a good job. Prime time interviewer from our great state of Guyana, and I love to just be checking your program out, and I'm happy to be on. Thank you for having me, brother.
Okay, Mr. Jacob, try not to butter me up too much. I don't want my head to get so big that I can't see the screen in the back. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you. Can you just tell us a little bit about who Mr. Ryan Jacob is? So I'm sure for a lot of people looking, when they hear the word Ryan Jacob, they'll probably just draw a blank. Tell us a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your story, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Ryan Jacob. I'm from Bagotville, West Bank. Uh, you know, born and raised in Bagotville. My mom is Gwyneth Baggett, and father is Peter Jacob, and you know, uh, pretty much, those who know where Bagotville is over the bridge, left, and then you go a few tongues over and you reach Bagotville. So I'm from there, grew up, and then migrated to America.
Very well. Can you tell us a little about your family dynamic? I don't mean to get too presumptuous, but do you have family? Do you have any kids? And what you've been up to recently?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I have four children, and I have a 15-year-old. I have a 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and like 19 months year old son. So I have three sons, one daughter.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lots of kids. Good father. Solid. Very good. I read that you recently released the book. I was at your book launch. The book is called Pleasure But Not Satisfied. You did a fantastic job at your presentation, and it's for that reason I wanted to have you on my show. Mr. Jacob, can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write the book, Pleasure But Not Satisfied, please?
Sure, Andrew. Pleasure but not satisfied was birthed out of the realization that as a man, uh, some things were sown into my life as a child, as it relates to sexual issue that haunts me and affected my life as I grew up. And and as I try to follow God and live a life of righteousness and be a good husband, these things that impact my life, it was something that was threatening not only my family, but just my whole entire life. And so instead of running away from it and keep dealing with the symptoms, like cheating and unfaithfulness, uh, I realized I have to deal with the root cause, and the root cause was things that happened in my childhood, and also not following certain principle, learning certain principle, to really change and be transformed, to live a life that pleased God, love one woman, and take care of my family. I had to learn that. Uh, so that's why this book was birthed. And also, I wanted to leave some information for especially my three sons, because men are not taught a lot as it relates to sex, and how to help them not be so pleasure driven that they take advantage of women. Uh, uh, and we know what's going on in the world, the Me Too movement. All of these things have reveal that the reality that men historically has been really just allowing themselves to take advantage of their position, their money, to just kind of violate women. But to me, at the center of that is because when you have a man that is so driven by pleasure that he would molest someone, he would rape someone, that there's a deeper issue of that man being pleasured, always pleasured, but never really satisfied. So there's always a chase, there's always a hunt. It's nearly impossible for that man to really be faithful to one woman, to love a woman, to cherish a woman. So that makes men really vulnerable and then go out and continue to hurt women. And I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to continue to live that contradicting life, hypocritical life. So that book was birthed out of, for those reasons.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. I know human beings are very inquisitive. I've ordered the book, Pleasure But Not Satisfied. I haven't received it as yet. And I want to impress upon everyone that's watching this program to get yourself a copy. I'm pretty sure it's a good read. From the preview I've seen, it's going to be a dynamic read. And I want to encourage everyone to get a copy. Human beings are inquisitive by nature. Guyanese people, especially, they're very, very fast. I mean, that's something you and I can both relate to. And I think it's fair to say, I think it's fair to say that all individuals are curious without getting into too much. I don't want to give away the book. I mean, you want to know what's in the book, get the book. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened to you as a child, if you don't mind sharing with us? If you're comfortable in your skin and you're open to sharing a little bit more. Not everything, but you can tell us a little bit if you're open to do so, please.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not afraid. This book was written with raw honesty, and so I'm always open now because the reality is you have to. The truth will set you free, and unless you're willing to shine the light and bring in truth, darkness will remain. And so for me, as a child growing up in Guyana, from the time I was like 5 or 6, I had this situation where there was a neighbor who used to, a teenager who delight or got joy in watching children have engaged sexually. And so as a child, for a period of time, uh, I would, that would happen. They would, invite us over. We have, play and we play Dolly House and buy you, stuff. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, do this or do that. And you and the, girls are, little children are engaging in sexual things. And you felt as a child, I felt real, uh, bothered by it and real, hurt. But you are a child, and so those things affect me, how grew up to see women, and how I relate to women, and as trying to use women to compensate, for what you were missing, because even though I was being exploited, it felt good to an extent.
Right.
So it was a contradiction of hurt, violation, exploitation, but there's something good. So it just created a lot of confusion in my mind as a young man about sex and women, and so that's what really happened. And then other things happen on different level. Some of that I wouldn't share, because you don't want to implement family and other people
Mhm.
in this. But I don't think my story is unique. There's a lot of people in Guyana growing up. A lot of different things happened to them, whether they were molested by their parents, uncle, other people. So I'm not unique in this situation, but I do know it affected me. Is the truth, and it really affected me as I grew up and tried to be faithful to a man, to a woman, and live a certain life.
Mr. Jacob, thank you for taking a stand. I mean, sometimes it's always, the challenge is always taking a stand and standing up and speaking about injustice. But I'm a strong believer of, like you said earlier, speak about injustice wherever it is. Be the social justice warrior whenever an opportunity presents itself and try to do good. What advice would you give to young men who are deemed or seen abusing or taking disrespecting women? If speak to the man right now, what would your advice be to any young man that's disrespecting a woman as we speak?
Yeah, well, my advice would be when a man is disrespecting a woman, so some you would say like some a being that he came out of.
Hmm.
I mean, there have to be other complication, missing information for a man to really abuse like his source,
Hmm.
because we came out of a woman, and without women we don't exist. So normally when us men, when we are violating a woman, there's sometimes the issue of male supremacy, sexual supremacy sometimes is there to enforce male supremacy. Like men sometimes use the abusing of women sexually as a way of proving their male supremacy, their dominance. And for the fact that a man will have to try to prove himself or dominate a woman in that form or any other form is a reflection of what he might be missing that makes him feel like he needs to use or go down that road to abuse a woman. So I would advise young men to look deeper and to say, was I, was seed sowing in me as a child that make me relate to women and want and abuse women, and get counseling, and like I had to go to counseling, and my therapist helped me to unpack a lot of different things from my childhood and helped me to be the man that I am today. And I will continue to get out more counseling to help me to be a better man as I go forward.
Very good. I know in the black community, it being Black History Month, we have this problem with young men having multiple kids with different women. What advice would you give to a young man that's engaging such behavior, if I may? I think back home in Guyana, it was deemed as a macho man thing. I have a lot of Jamaican friends. I have a lot of friends from throughout the Caribbean, and I think it's a stigma that you're the man if you can have multiple kids with multiple women. What advice would you give to a man with that kind of a mindset, based on your
Well,
experience?
and my experience, Andrew, is that uh, for a man who is, us men, uh, those were the seeds that were sown by in colonialism, by literally making black men out to be like studs. Like our
Mm,
job is to get as much women, make as much children, and that's how we prove our manhood.
yeah.
And that was a seed that was sown to facilitate, as being Black History Month, the producing of children for certain agenda.
Hmm.
And black men have never been taught, I think, or never shaped that to say, I am not a stud, I am a man, I'm responsible, I'm gonna take care of my seed,
Right.
you know. Uh, but so I would say to a young man, listen, and I see young men in the streets fighting for social justice, Black Lives Matter, and all of these various things that we are having this conversation. But you have to look within and say, how can I fight something that I'm helping to perpetuate? I have to stop and say, I'm not a stud. Every woman that I go to and I sleep with or just give a child, I'm leaving a broken heart. I'm leaving a broken a woman with a child, and I'm just moving on. That perpetuate the condition of the black family. And it's time for us men to be honest and encourage each other. And that's what I'm trying to do with this book, to encourage us to say, man, we got to step up because our race need us, and everything, our children need us, but we have to deal with the sexual issue, which if you look at that is the number one reason for mass incarceration, the degrading of the black family is broken home. What is the key cause of broken home? Primarily unfaithful men. Because a lot of women ain't gonna put up with us men having multiple, you know, they just can't handle that. And so they prefer to then not be by themselves. They don't want that drama. And so they raise the children by themselves and they struggle. And so those things are perpetuated. So I want young men to just let's have that conversation. Let's get the help we need to be better men.
Excellent. Well said. I know this must be a difficult conversation, but I appreciate your braveness and your openness and your honesty for coming on and talking about this. It being the fact that you are a role model as far as I'm concerned. You have your four children, four boys and one girl. What advice would you give to parents in general? I mean, I'm touched, and your story personally affected me. I'm sure a lot of people share similar stories, but they're not this brave, bold, and courageous as you to come out and speak on it. What advice would you give to parents in general? It being, we live in a diverse world. It being people are different in many ways. For example, race, religion, how they look, how they, disabilities, sexual orientation, and so on. What advice would you give to parents in general as it relates to their kids to ensure what happened to you as a child does not continue, and we work towards breaking the cycle. I mean, reading the book in itself would be a great guide, and that's why I want to impress people to get the book. But if you can share a little bit with us, what advice would you give to parents as it relates to their kids and who's in care of their children?
Absolutely. Andrew, great question. Uh, I think that the most important thing I would say to parents is you have to be aware that the enemy sets out to sow things in children's life because he wants to handicap their future, their destiny. So childhood is very important and must be protected. So a parent should know where the child is going. They should know if you're leaving somebody to look at your child, is this person a healthy person? Are they driven for easily trying to take advantage of women or girls or you know what I mean? And you are responsible to protect your children and especially around family members. Many people think, oh, I'm gonna have my try to protect my child from strangers, but they don't think that and the data show most children are being abused and affected by people within the family and
Hmm.
friends and
Hmm.
neighbors and very close. It's not it's the percentage is rare that somebody will snatch your child and abuse them and bring them back. It's always more 99% or 95% of the time it will happen with people within so close proximity. So watch your children, protect them because it's not just about an incident. The enemy is trying to sow seed to handicap, to bring up those things when they get married and a lot of women can't really love a man the way they should because they were violated by a man. They can't be honest to a man to say, the reason why I don't love you is because ultimately I've been hurt by a man from a child and vice versa. These things happen. So you got to protect your children. Don't let the enemy sow because the story is told. The man, sow good seed in his ground. And while they slept, the enemy came and sowed tears.
Yeah.
And the tears grew up and choked the wheat. That's how the enemy works, and that's how he's trying to handicap all of our life in different ways. You know what I mean? So protect your kids.
Very nicely said. Mr. Jacob, we're just up against time. Finally, in closing, talk to someone that's in a situation right now that's being violated, it being an adult, it being a young person, whoever it is. What would your advice to that person be? I know it's going to be something in regards to speaking up, but talk to the people directly. I want to hear it coming from you. What would your advice be to someone that's find themselves in a very uncomfortable situation whereby they can control what's happening to them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say number one is that it's not your fault. Uh, it's not your fault, and you are not uh, to be blamed for what is being done to you. All right, because sometimes you feel like it's my fault. I do this or I did that, or it's not your fault. And number two, you need to tell someone. And if you can't tell your parents, you can tell your mother because sometimes it's the stepfather and whoever. Then go to the authorities and tell them because you don't deserve what's happening, and it's not just about your life now. The enemy is trying to handicap you and harm you for rest of your life. So speak up. You have a right to do it. You have a right to be believed, and you have, because what is being done to you is wrong, and it's not God's purpose for this to happen to you, and you deserve to be loved and respected.
Excellent. Very well said, Mr. Jacob. In closing, pleasure but not satisfied. I have my copy. I know it's on the way, but for folks that who, oh, there you go. Can you show us the book? There you go. Very nice. Can you tell us where we can get it for someone that's watching this program and want to get a copy? Where can they go and what's the price range? I think mine was like 22 bucks or something I paid because I ordered before it it's out and this and that. But for folks watching, where can they get it? And is there a phone number they can call you directly or if they can go on Amazon or wherever they can and get it? Just tell the folks where they can get a copy of this book, please.
Well, you can get a copy of this book. Number one, I want to plug the website, ryanjacob.org. You can, that's the website. You'll have a link to get the book, but also you have an opportunity to get a signed copy of the book. You have an opportunity to also get a bookmark with a great scripture on it. So ryanjacob.org, and then also wherever books are sold. The price is anywhere from $15 to $20 on our on the link. We'll have a Zulon link. The book is produced by Zulon, and then of course, if you have to buy it somewhere else, you have to consider shipping and handling. And on our end, we want to make sure you get a signed autograph copy. Maybe I'll put a little message in there, something nice, and with a bookmark, and showing you our appreciation. And that should be no more, roughly around $20 with everything and the shipping of it. All right. So that's where you can order it. RyanJacob.org, or if you want to go the other route, anywhere where books are sold.
Excellent. Nicely said. Mr. Jacob, for anyone who wants to talk to you, are you open to putting out your phone number there for the general public if someone wanted to chat with you or so on?
Yeah, absolutely. Phone number is 917-548-4651. 917-548-4651. Anyone can contact me. Uh, Time is, the best time to call me would be after 10 in the morning or late in the night, because I primarily, when I am working, uh, I work nights. So lately I've just been, the pandemic happened and it impacted a lot. So I've been concentrating mostly on my projects. And all right, but you can definitely get me, because I'm up mostly at night. When I'm working, I'm up at night. When I'm not working, I'm still up at night doing work on the book. And I also want to say I have another book that's going to be coming out in May that is going to be called Vision Decision: The Importance of Having a Vision and Making Decisions Accordingly. So I want to plug that also. So please be looking out for that.
Very well. Nicely said, Mr. Knight Rider. It seems you're up all, all hours in the night.
Night was made to work.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Jacob, on behalf of the Let's Talk Show, our executive producer, and of course, our president, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for joining the show. I look forward to working with you in the future. Congratulations on the launch of your book. And just based on what you just said there, I think I'll be buying a second copy. God bless you and everything you do. Keep smiling, keep shining, and of course, keep writing.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
Thank you. God bless
God
you,
bless.
brother.
All right.